testosterone, we have a problem.
This is Outside the Manosphere, where two guys with zero credentials dive past the cliches of masculinity and try and become better friends by actually talking to each other. It's weirdly hard, but we're doing it anyway. Join us.
Welcome to Outside the Manosphere. My name is Carlos.
And I'm Skip.
How do you do, Skip?
How you doing this week?
Hey, man. This week it's been like so for the world to know. We haven't talked we missed 2 episodes because I was in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been, I guess, technically like 3 weeks since we've even seen each other, right? Something like that. So yeah, it's been a long time, and we are current now. So we don't have any buffers for episodes go. So now we're all current and caught up. So anything we say now will be about a week, maybe 5 days delay or something like that, and then it'll fall into my sister's ears and probably no one else.
We'll no longer be talking about the 1920 World Fair.
So how have you been, man? It's been a minute since we talked. What's the news?
Yeah, I don't have a ton of news, but I think the main thing is you had your trip to Austin and you actually got to go because there was some cliffhanger there with the flights and things like that. And I wanted to hear all about your trip to Austin.
Well, here it goes. I'll try to keep it brief because it was, a vacation that's not super, super interesting to probably most people. But yeah, so the cliffhanger was that the Air Canada flight attendants were on strike. They kept striking because of pay and whatever contract disputes they had. So yeah, I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to fly because all these flights were being canceled. Anyway, I did, and now the Postal Service is on strike here in Canada. So now all the shit that I sent to myself from Austin, like just stuff that I've had in like various sisters or mother's home, is that I'm like, you know what, I gotta unburden them with all this crap that I've got. So I've sent all these boxes back. Spent a ton of money to do it too, but it needed to be done. And now it's just sitting in Chicago, like just waiting for the Canadian Postal Service to unstrike themselves and deliver my shit.
All right. How do you feel about strikes?
I think they're healthy. Yeah. I think generally. The Canadian one's a little special because, and I've gone back and forth with how I feel about this one because, I mean, like it or not, and right or wrong as far as capitalism versus like a social institution, the Postal Service in the U.S. and in Canada has become insufficient. And the big problem that I've had with people wanting to profit off the Postal Service in both countries is that it's a social service. And like, we don't view it as that. We view it as like, oh, it's a business and we got to make profit and we're in the hole. And it's like, but it's a social service. Like we pay taxes for this thing. We're going to spend on it. And that's the reason we have it. But like, I don't know, man, they're like here, they're on strike because the government is wanting to eliminate like door deliveries, which is, which you still get your mail. You just have to go to a community mailbox, which is pretty common, like all over North America anyway. It's inconvenient because you don't have to step out your door and grab your mail, grab your junk mail, essentially is where the money's coming in now.
Right.
But whatever, like it makes sense to me, but the Postal Service is going to lose jobs. I mean, that's going to happen with this thing. And I think they're going to eliminate like package delivery as well, or they're talking about it. I could be wrong about that, but anyway, so the Postal Workers Union like just suddenly went on strike. Like it was an unplanned strike, and like they're just striking now. So I don't know how I feel about it exactly, because in this case, I'm all for workers' rights. I'm all for workers unionizing and like fighting as a group against like a corporation to get their fair share of the pie. In this case, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. I mean, I'm also a little biased because I'm waiting for my goddamn boxes to come in the mail. But I don't know. To me, it seems like the Postal Service is competing against UPS, is competing against all these courier services, and they're not competitive. I mean, it's like the argument is that they're losing money, and they are. But if you don't look at it as a loss, you're looking at it as an expense for the government. Well, it's fine. You know what I mean? But if the primary source of delivering like government issued mail is also mixed in with like flyers from Walmart or whatever, like I get rid of it. Like I don't need that shit.
Right.
Like if it's official mail from the government, they can digitize it and send it via email. But again, that's a huge loss of industry. Lots and lots of jobs will be lost. So I don't know. It's complicated. It's pretty much exactly the same thing in the U.S. I don't know how it is in the Czech Republic. I don't remember anymore, but I don't know. How do you feel about strikes?
I like strikes. I kind of line up with what you said initially, which is that I think they're healthy. You know, it's healthy for workers to fight for their right. I think, you know, the danger of ceding too much ground to like UPS and DHL and all those things is once it's gone and there's not that governmental avenue that is subsidized and reasonably cheap, then we also have no control over price. And mail is an important thing. It's been an important thing for a lot of people on a personal level and a business level, and, you know, pricing people out of that. Because like you asked about here, like sending something via the Czech postal service to the US is not fast, but it's relatively reasonable. Whereas sending it by like DHL, which is kind of the other option, is astronomically high comparatively. Like it's, you know, it's on the order of 7 or 8 times as expensive. Right. So getting rid of kind of those options for people, it's just like you get rid of the accessibility for a lot of people, and once it's gone, there's no reason that companies have to keep their prices lower. They can raise them because there's no competition that's subsidized. So
right. And it's gone. Once it's gone, it's not coming back. Like there would have to be a radical shift for it to come back, and it would become radical. It'd become a radical, like leftist sort of imposition on capitalism. Once, right. And also, and I'd said just before we signed on that I don't want to talk about, or I don't have a lot of gas to talk about Donald Trump, but here I go. I mean,
it's unavoidable these days.
It's unavoidable. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time on it because it's really negative and like.
Yeah,
I'm trying to right myself and rebalance myself, and it's been a challenge lately for me. But you see what happens. You see the behavior of corporations when they have full control, and I'm looking specifically at like CBS and Disney, and now YouTube. You probably saw 60 Minutes. I don't know what parent company they're under, but like they all capitulate rather than fight. When they would lose, they would win these court fights. They would absolutely win these court fights.
Yeah, give us a little bit more context on just one of these things of what you're talking about.
Well, so just with Disney, like, and I don't mean the recent stuff with like Jimmy Kimmel, but like that's a good example of how like they go back and forth with popular opinion. But but when it comes to money, like that's really where they make their decisions, right? So I think it was Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, if he's still the governor of Florida, I believe, but they're threatening to sue Disney over something woke or whatever. But rather than like actually push back and fight the lawsuit, they just settled and paid out X amount of dollars, millions of dollars. And man, I'm going to sound like a buffoon here because I don't remember all the details anymore because there's so much and it's so fast.
Right.
And and the universities as well. They're all rather than fighting these assaults from the government, and if they're government assaults, they're just settling because it's cheaper to settle. It'll be gone and their reputations will recover. It's no big deal. They just spend a ton of money, get it over with. They'll spend more money in the lawsuit. So anyway, the whole rather than going into the details because I don't remember really, the point of me bringing this up is that there is no incentive for a corporation to do the right thing. You know what I mean? By the population of the government that they're operating within. They don't give a shit about like the ebb and flow of society. They're just like, how much money can we make and how can we maintain that profit margin? And if that means we have to do this ethically questionable thing, fine, because we're gonna get through this, and then we're gonna punch through, and then we'll survive in whatever iteration the government is, or the national mood is at the end of this thing, and that's fine for them. It doesn't matter what changes are made. You know what I mean? So all that's to say is when you take the Postal Service out of the equation, like you said, UPS, DHL. They're going to be in charge of things, and they don't give a shit about your life, the general person's income and their well-being. They don't care. It's about how much money they're making, and they're going to make decisions based on that. So that's my answer to your question. What do I think about strikes?
Well, that was all from you sending your mail back from Austin. How was the rest of the trip to Austin?
It was a good trip. I had a lot of big plans, as I said before. I wanted to see a bunch of people. I really didn't see many people at all. I spent like 99% of my time with my sisters and their boyfriends, or my sister's boyfriend and my other sister's husband, and my niece, and saw my dad a lot, which I wasn't expecting to do. I spent a lot of time at my mother's house with my stepfather, and saw Craig. He's a childhood friend of mine that I mentioned several times. I saw him
Yeah.
several times. I thought I would see him once, and that was going to be it. But it was great, man. I saw him a bunch of times. I saw another childhood friend of mine. Had to write some emails saying like, "Hey, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not going to. Just don't have the time, and apologies. But yeah, I spent a lot of time with them. I spent a lot of time at my mother's house going through boxes and boxes and boxes of old pictures and of like grandparents and great grandparents and great great grandparents, and just like
Hmm, that's fun.
sifting through stuff that is not out. They're not on display anymore. They're not up on walls. And I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
taking all this stuff with me, and a lot of childhood photos of my sisters and I, and just pictures of family members when they were young. And so yeah, I spent a lot of time sifting through all that stuff, sifting through a bunch of old stuff that they just had been storing for me, and sent most of it back to myself here in Canada, because now I have space. I didn't have the space before. I wanted to all this
Right.
time, but I just didn't have the space for it. Yeah, and then other than that, we just ate and ate and ate.
Yeah. I want to hear all about that.
Well, I saw it's funny. I had a blood test scheduled like the day after I arrived back to Canada, just for like a normal maintenance. I haven't done that in several
Yeah.
years, and I haven't done it since I became a vegetarian. So I was curious, like, what that was going to show, and I was like, man, I've got to stop. I've got to stop eating this garbage, because like they're gonna test my blood and be like, dude, you're just like cheese. That's all you are, is cheese. So yeah, we ate a lot of Tex-Mex, a lot of Mexican. Everyone really listened to my one requirement, that I wanted salsa. Like that was what I came here
Yeah.
for, and that's what was delivered, to where I'm like, guys, I'm good. Like, I don't need any more Mexican food. Like, please,
Yeah.
like let's change it up now. But yeah, that's about it. A lot of Mexican, a lot of Tex-Mex. I've realized I can let Tex-Mex go now, I think, for the rest of my life, because it is poison. It is poison. It tastes really good.
What a shift.
Yeah. Well, and there was at one point I was sitting at the table and everyone was laughing and like chatting and stuff, and I was like, I am feasibly going to vomit all over the table right now. Like, I was just so full of disgusting oil and cheese. I'm like, I'm going to be sick. And yeah, so that was kind of my waking moment, where I'm like, I think I've transcended Tex-Mex.
All right. That's a very fun shift from, wanting the Tex-Mex and now being completely done. But that's actually, when I came back from the US, I think I said something similar about
Yeah.
a lot of the food in the US, which is wild. It's interesting, because I've had multiple trips back there and I've never felt that way. But this time, I don't know, maybe it's the age. I don't know. So you didn't break your vegetarianism.
I didn't. The only thing I maybe bent it a bit, because there were times where I was like, I bet you they made these beans. It was like black beans with Mexican flavors. Like, I bet you they made this with like bone broth or something. And like,
Sure.
at some point I was just like, man, I got to stop like being a pain in the ass for it. I mean, I feel strongly about it, but I'm not
Yeah.
like a militant vegetarian. So I'm
Right,
like, well,
right.
if there's something in here, it's not going to kill me. And it's not, I don't feel terrible. I don't feel great
Yeah.
about it, but like, so as far as I know, I didn't. The likelihood that I did is probably up there, but
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, and also something I've
But
been
no
meaning to correct.
chunks. No chunks
No,
of animal. Yeah.
no chewing of flesh. But
Yeah.
something that I wanted to correct myself, when we were talking about salmon and farm raised salmon. I don't eat fish, right? And I don't eat animals, except, I don't think I told you this, or maybe I did. I was like, oh, I don't worry about salmon because I don't eat salmon. I do eat salmon, actually, because I still take fish oil. Did I tell you about that?
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know. I don't think you did.
Yeah,
Or maybe you did and we both forgot.
Yeah, well, we are middle aged, but yeah. I take fish oil, and I that was a choice. I never stopped taking it, because when I started taking it again just a few years ago, I noticed I got my like sense of smell back. I'm like, wow, that's like a measurable thing that like has changed when I started taking this stuff. So they're wild caught, which still isn't great, but
Yeah.
I have accepted that as a necessary evil for myself, because it seems pretty good for my body. So I'm still taking fish oil fairly regularly. I take it almost daily. So
All right.
yeah, I am not holier than thou. And I do eat quote unquote eat this fish byproduct.
Well, certainly not this month. You're not holier than me, because this is my last day of vegetarianism. I did I did my month.
Yeah.
This is it.
So tomorrow it's a carnivorous rapture.
No, I'm not gonna like go dive in, but I have felt significantly constrained, especially with
Yeah.
like kids and things like that. So I probably will resume eating some meat, but I think I'll eat a lot less.
Yeah.
But it was nice. It was good. I didn't lose. I lost like up 1.2 pounds over a month,
Mhm.
so no discernible difference there.
Right. What about how you feel? You notice a change in how you feel?
Yeah, I think my peaks and valleys of energy and being tired are stronger, actually. So I have a lot more energy sometimes, and I'm a lot more tired other
Huh.
times. And I spend all day not hungry when I'm able to eat, and then I'm immediately hungry when I go to bed, and I'm hungry in the morning, which I don't usually even eat breakfast. So it's been an odd shift. But yeah, it's something that I've wanted to do, and it's good for the planet and all those things. So I think I'll try and like steer continually that direction and slowly, as I have over the years. Like I used to be more of a beef guy, and now I'm almost completely, that's like gone from my diet just because of, it's not as healthy, and it's bad for the environment. And
Right.
so slowly shifted over, and I think I'll just continue that shift, but this is like a proof of concept if,
Yeah.
if nothing else.
Yeah. Well, and also like, I was talking to Jody about it, I think just yesterday, and she has a friend that has been a vegetarian for as long as she's known him, and he's a Czech guy, which is not unusual, I guess, but it's definitely like Czech is a meat eating country. The Czech Republic is a
It's
meat eating country.
it's a meat and
Um,
potatoes culture, yeah.
Definitely. It's actually a reason why I just never bothered even trying to be a vegetarian while I was there, because it's not easy to do. Like, yeah, I
Mhm.
mean, good for you for doing it for a month, but like it's a meaty culture.
It's fine now, but yeah, like back in the day, I knew. I mean, when I got here 19 years ago, I knew a number of vegetarians that moved over, and none of them stayed vegetarian because it
Yeah,
was just nearly
yeah.
impossible. But then, 10 years ago, it started being feasible, and now it's really not hard. It's pretty easy to
Okay,
be vegetarian
okay.
here. Yeah,
Yeah, because we left there almost 8 years ago. So
yeah,
I by then I wasn't even thinking about becoming vegetarian, but well, I had, but not seriously. But yeah, this guy, her friend though, he's been vegetarian for I don't know, at least 20 years, more probably. And I was like, man, that guy wanted it, I guess. And yeah, the point is that it is hard to be, or it used to be hard anyway, to be vegetarian
yeah.
in the Czech Republic. But it's funny that I was going to ask about it anyway, but one of my joys later, well, not even a joy, but something that came up just this morning is like, Jody popped up like a whole list of like vegetarians of yesteryear, and there was a few surprises that I'll mention at the end.
Okay.
And yeah, it's just interesting, and I find myself an interesting company, I guess.
All right.
We find ourselves an
Sure,
interesting company.
sure. For today at least, yeah. So you mentioned rebalancing. Tell me, because you'd mentioned that as we were texting, getting ready for this episode as well. Tell me more about the rebalancing.
So the rebalancing, I've it's been on my mind a lot actually, and so when I got into paramedic school, I just kind
Hmm.
of I had to put away a lot of I didn't put away the meditation. I did that pretty regularly, but I wasn't doing it as intensely as I was. Same thing with the remote viewing. Like basically, I had to shift my priorities to focus just on school, and you had to because it was such an intensive course.
Yeah,
I mean, it was only for 15 months, and of those 15 months, 12 of them were academic. The rest of them or no, 11 of them were academic, and the rest of them were clinical. Like you were actually on the job. Anyway, it was super intensive, so I just didn't have the bandwidth to like do all this extra stuff and then do this. So my pledge to myself was once I graduate, and then I also once you graduate, there's a whole like gauntlet of shit you got to get through in order to get hired. So it took a long, long time. It's been a couple of years since I've like really been sort of like in the trenches of spirituality, and that's really just a warm blanket that I enjoyed, and I want
yeah.
to get back into that. And then I started the job, and I'm still, on my heels from it because it's like
Sure.
it's every shift is disorienting.
It's
You know what
big
I mean? So
change. Yeah.
yeah, it's a huge change. We started this podcast, which is I'm loving. It's a lot of fun. It takes up not a lot of time actually, but it takes up a lot of my focus
Yeah.
and because I want us to do this, and I want it to do well, and I am enjoying it. It's not like a chore or anything, but it is taking away from like this sort of spirituality aspect of things that I've enjoyed paying
Sure.
attention to as well. And then lastly, coming back from Austin, I've been reflecting on that for a while because I really enjoyed my time there. It was just a lot of fun, and I didn't fight with any of family members, which we always do. Anyway, I don't have any complaints about my time with my family. I don't have any complaints about their hospitality because they were extremely gracious. My younger sister specifically, because she took like a week off of work, and it was just
that's awesome.
yeah, it was really nice. So I don't have any complaints there, but like, and I enjoyed being in Austin again. Like, it was extremely busy. There's just the amount of cars and people and just things happening there was almost overwhelming. But
it's like a real city.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. But at the same time, I don't know if it's because I grew up there and I just have like history there. I can't. Like I said, I've been trying to figure out what it is, but like, I don't know, man. I adjust really well to changes. No, that's not true. But like, I adapt. I adapt to changes. So
Okay.
like, when I got there, I was like, okay, this is my new reality, and like, I stopped thinking about New Brunswick or something about Canada. I mean, I was talking to Jody every day, but when I was there, I was there. You know what I mean? So I wasn't thinking about anything else, and I didn't do a single moment of meditation. I didn't do a single moment of like kind of centering myself. I didn't have the energy for it, and I just didn't have the time. But as a result, like, I came back and I'm like, wow, like, I've got to really just like take a nap. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I mean about rebalancing. I'm just like, I'm slowly kind of coming back to where I was. I'm eating like healthy food again. I've slowed my pace a bit. I started meditating again from the start of this one little program that I always use, which I've started over and over and over again because it's a great program and I highly recommend it. But yeah, that's all really. Like, I need to get recentered. I mean, for lack of a better term, and I'm getting there. And that's why when you would send me those links with like, I think 3 of them, and the word Trump was in all 3, I'm like, I can't. I just can't do it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyway, I've been going on and on, man. So what's it's been 3 weeks though. Like, any news at all? That's a no expression I'm seeing in his face. So
no, the only real change. So like, I've been going vegetarian, and I also started roller derby as a beginner. So right now we're not doing like contact stuff, and of course my wife is the coach, so I've got to make sure I keep her happy.
You got to excel.
Now that she's bullied me into joining the team.
That's good, man. That's got to be great exercise.
Yeah, it's good exercise, and they've got the off skate schedule for like doing little things during the week that keeps you honest. And I've been doing that, and learning to do some new things in skates. Like, I was never really comfortable skating backwards, and I'm getting better at that. And
okay, yeah, I can't do that either.
Some new kinds of stops that I never used before, because I learned like 1 or 2 stops and I was good, And so I'm just learning to do some new things, and that kind of is a nice feeling. Scratching an itch about learning something. So we'll see how it goes. I went to practice the other day, and my sciatica just was killing me, and I've been trying to take care of it ever since, because it's just like got really bad. But it's fun enough, and I'm a guy, so my options for playing are limited, but they're out there feasibly in the distant future.
Well, is it like a mixed gendered sort of thing, or is it how does it work?
So there's like the official kind of what they call WFTA, which is the World Flat Track Organization, or whatever it is called. And men are the only ones that can't compete. So you can have men, you can have trans women, trans men, but not men. They're the only ones that can't compete in that. But then there's these kind of B team things. So like the junior varsity, and the junior varsity isn't on those rankings, so they can they can do other things and have co-ed teams and stuff like that.
Okay.
So there's an opportunity in the future at some point. We'll see.
Have you going to have like a persona, or are you just kind of getting in to the beginning?
Well, not a persona, but you always get a name, like.
Well, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
What you got?
Well, I've come up with, listen, of course, Jess's Atomic Mom.
Yeah, it's a great one.
I have to be something with Dad. And so far, the one people like the best is Breaking Dad.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
So
it's aggressive.
Yeah, exactly.
It could go both ways, I guess, where you're becoming a broken man, but like you're also
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It works both ways. So yeah, so that's been, and it's the nice thing about that is doing like that and doing some of these like little off skates workouts that we have during the week. I'm finding I'm getting things like movements and stuff that I don't normally have, which is nice. I feel more like athletic like when I was younger, except for the excruciating pain of my sciatica and all my cracking joints. Other than that. But yeah,
Jody sits on a lacrosse ball for her sciatica. I don't know how she came to that, but she bought like a lacrosse ball from Amazon, and then she like rolls her butt on it, and it seems to really relieve it.
Yeah, I'm doing after we talk. I'm gonna do. Jess found me some yoga routine, so I'll be doing that probably daily until it's relieved significantly.
Yeah. Well, dude, I think that's a fantastic endeavor. I think it's a great idea. I hope you stick with it because it looks like. I mean, that's social, that's physical, that's like, it hits all the points, man. And Jess seems to have really thrived. She's been doing it for years now, huh?
Yeah, a couple of years, yeah. And, she kind of thrives in any place where there's a leadership vacuum.
Oh, really? Is she like taking control of it?
It's not so much that she likes it, it's that she can't stand seeing things not done well. So she like gravitates into these positions, whether she wants to or not, to take over to make them work better.
No, I get that.
It's a little bit of a sickness as well.
I was gonna say like it's something that I've always been like. I've been like that as well. And this is me. I'm not speaking about Jess, but like I've always kind of associated it with almost a toxic need for control of things. And again, I don't mean that as everyone who feels that way about making things better, but like for me, I've always been like, no, we're going to do this way because what I'm thinking is better, and I'm going to make this better. And if you all just do what I say, this is going to work better. You know what I mean? And maybe that's right in some cases. Maybe that's not right in most cases. I don't know, but but I found that like when I just kind of like, you know what? I don't know. And I'll just go with the flow and I'll make suggestions. And if like people glom onto them and they work, great. But if not, like, I don't need to be the leader and I don't need to be the one like at the spearhead of this thing and just, it's like, I've never been a good team player, I guess is maybe the easiest way of describing that. And I find that when I step back and not try to lead the pack, like you're forced to become a team player because you're taking directions from a Jess, you know what I mean? Who's who's maybe has the good ideas that you didn't.
Yeah. To be fair, Jess tends to step in where things aren't working or where she's like, oh, I can take this to the next level. Even again, when she shouldn't. But like there's an actual qualification and like she's not just like, you're doing this well, I'm going to take over.
She's not mansplaining.
There's usually a good reason for it, but sometimes if not often it ends up biting her in certain ways.
Well, that actually sounds healthy. I think what I was describing about myself was more of like classic male who doesn't know shit about what he's taking control over, but like I'm gonna do it and you guys listen to me because I'm somehow qualified and trust me.
And here I didn't think you wanted to talk about Trump.
yeah I just described the leader of the free world.
So Carlos.
Yes, Skip.
Are you ready to fall in love?
I am so ready to fall in love, Skip.
All right. We'll be using the 36 questions to fall in love that appeared in the New York Times a long, long time ago, 10 years ago. And we are all the way up to question number 21. And are you ready for it?
Let's hear it.
What roles do love and affection play in your life?
What roles do love and affection play in my life? Big roles. Big roles. I am an affectionate human being, I think. I need affection. I think I'm leaving the word love out because everyone needs love, whether they realize it or not. But affection, there are some people that have issues, giving it and receiving it. But my first thought when you asked was, it's going to sound silly, but my dogs. Like last night before bed, I was smooching on my female dog and just like head pressed against her face and like just and petting her, but just like making the head to head contact, and just like, I mean, just pouring love into this animal. And then like she feels it, dude, because like she like pops her head back and like starts grooming, like doing little bites on my beard as in like a sort of a grooming. I mentioned it before, like a grooming behavior, but like there's genuine gratitude in her when I'm doing stuff like that. You could feel it. And I enjoy like touch. I enjoy giving touches and receiving touches. And I don't mean that sexual. I just mean like just making, contact with people. So yeah, it's a big part. I remember there was a time when I was dating a girl from she was from Mexico, and we didn't live in the same town. I had moved to California, so I really was even further from her. And man, I had gone like a year, and I didn't really know anyone in San Francisco when I was there, other than my roommate and then the people that I worked with. And I remember there was about a year where I realized, like, man, I haven't had a hug in like a full year. Like nobody's hugged me in like a year. I'm like, man, I'll take a hug from anyone,
Right?
Man, woman, whatever. Like I could really use a hug. And you see people like in this Prague City Center or just any big city, and they have cardboard saying like free hugs. And to somebody with enough hugs in their lives, that seems kind of silly and ridiculous. But like I get it. Like there's when people who don't have contact with other people, like that feels good. You know what I mean? And
right.
And there are people through circumstance or whatever that are homeless or whatever, that they don't have anyone that even want to touch them. You know what I mean? Right. And like, that's a big deal. Like, so yeah, love and affection, man. It's a big deal for me. And I need to feel it, and I need an outlet for it. Yeah, it's important. What about you?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably, I would say the most important thing in life for me, and I definitely identify with what you were saying about, that time in your life. Because I remember when I was 20, 21, somewhere around that period, I think 20, and I had moved out of my parents' house and in with a guy from high school, and I was working a job and going to the gym and stuff, and I remember like wondering, just not even a hug, but just like, when was the last time I touched another human being?
Yeah.
And I'm sure that it happened, like fingers doing change from some purchase or something.
Right.
But like, I couldn't remember it. And that was, it's startling. It's a weird, it's not like a commodity, but when it's gone, and it feels very absent. So yeah, I mean, and that's just talking about touch, but not even just love and affection. And
right.
And like, there's so many different kinds. Like you talked about your dog, and my dog, every morning she's like, it's time to be petted now, like I'll be laying in bed and she'll come in and like put her head on the end of the bed. That's like, all right, it's time. You need to give me affection now.
Right.
And and even that, like, it's hard to stop petting her sometimes, because it's just like, it's just nice and relaxing, and it's nice to kind of communally be in this situation where we're just being affectionate towards each other. And like with kids, it's interesting because sometimes it can be overwhelming, and other times, like, you just want to hold them and love them so much, and then you also need to teach them about like different kinds of love, because kids don't understand, like, that you've heard of the love languages. Yeah, different love languages. So like a big one for Jess is acts of service. She likes when I do things for her, like to take care of things. But then some people, like my sons, my young son's act of love is just listening to him as he babbles incessantly forever. But he also likes hugs and stuff. So one of those is much easier than the other. But that's like funny. Just trying to like communicate and find the way that people want love and affection. And like you said, everybody needs love. Like they did those experiments with monkeys in the 50s. I don't know if you know about this with psychology, where they did like terrible experiment, but they'd put like baby monkeys in a cage, and some would have no mother and some would have a mother, and the ones and like they'd have everything they needed to live theoretically, like food and warmth and water and all those things. But without something to care for them, they'd just waste away and die. And even when they introduced just a wire frame of a monkey, they would just cling to this wire frame that wasn't even a real thing. And it's just like, yeah, that's something innate to thinking, feeling creatures, that we want something. We want someone, unless you turn into a hermit and go into the woods.
Yeah, which people do, man. I don't know
Yeah.
how that's a thing. I saw an article, this was a few years ago. It was like it was something like I'm probably not going to find it for show notes, but it was something like the loneliest man on earth, and it's some guy in the Amazon who's like the last member of his tribe. It's an uncontacted tribe, and he's the only one. And he's been spotted over and over again, but he's someone like people leave him tools, like someone left him an axe and stuff like that, and he uses this stuff. But he's the last guy, and I mean, I can't imagine a more lonely thing than not only not having human contact, but not having anyone else in your culture ever.
Right.
You're it. But you reminded me with like exchanging, money with like a cash exchange or whatever, and like touching somebody. It's to the point now, I think, in our in Western society anyway, where, well, not even Western society, North American Western society, when you are exchanging cash or whatever, and you make more contact than you expect, like you note it. You know what I mean? It's not even a big deal. Like you're just, oh, that was more fingers than I meant to touch.
Yeah.
And like, it's just, and it's not about like hygiene necessarily. It's just more of like, oh, that was like somehow personal. You know what I mean? That like I touched this man or this woman more than I intended to. And like, I don't know, it's like a momentary connection that like, it's so infrequent that it's become unusual. You know what I mean? And to further
like jarring a little bit.
Yeah, totally. And to further illustrate, like when I say Western culture, but not all, is like, there was a guy on the first flight from this little town to Montreal, which is like, it was like a 2-hour flight. The first plane was ridiculously small. Like it was absurdly small, or not the plane, but the seating. Like my knees, I'm an average sized guy, but my knees were almost touching the seat in front of me. And the guy who sat in the middle was this hulking dude. He was foreign. I don't know where he was from. He was African, but I think he was like Haitian or something, because he was with a big group and they were all speaking French in a dialect that I'm like, I don't understand a single word you're saying. Sure. But he was this big dude, and he took up so much space that like I was kind of like leaning to my right into the aisle most of the flight, and like his elbows were like he was fully man spreading, but like he was too big to not. Like, I understood why, but like it was like I practically had my arm around him. And we were like fully making contact. Like it was, we were just pressed against each other. And I think someone else might've had a problem with that. I didn't mind, because like, one, he smelled nice and his skin was really smooth, but he was like in my space, and he was perfectly okay with like being in my space. Like when he would move, he would like shoulder me out of the way when he was talking to his buddies in the seats ahead of us or whatever. Like he was completely in my zone and like moving me around with his mass. And he was perfectly fine with it. And I was just probably way more aware of it than he was, just because I'm an uptight North American, right?
Sure.
But yeah, he wasn't. He was perfectly fine with it. It wasn't weird for him. It wasn't like, I don't know, it wasn't uncomfortable for him. He was probably uncomfortable in the seat, but it wasn't uncomfortable making contact with a stranger. And I admire that. And I wish we had more of that in our society, because there was nothing, he wasn't a creep. He wasn't a weirdo. It wasn't like this odd situation we were in. We were just two strangers making contact in this brief space of time. That I mean, I wish we were more okay with that, because it was not unpleasant, and it wasn't like invasive or violating or anything. It was just two people, So anyway, I feel like, I don't know, wherever he was from, whatever culture he was from, like, I imagine love and affection play an enormous role in that. And I'm rambling about it, but it's a good thing.
No, yeah, I mean, I think even here, like, you have everything can be contactless now, like contactless paying. You can have people leave stuff at your door instead of even going to the store. Like, we still have trams, so we're still like in close proximity to people, if not touching them. But like when I was back in the US, like you could, even if you went to a store and stood in line, people give you more space than they do in some other places like here. So like you could be further than 2 or 3 feet away from somebody all the time, which is very interesting. I don't know. I mean, and I think there's a degree to which that's reflected in the society. Like, we are able to, in the the US and maybe in Canada, I don't know, we're able to kind of live in a literal individual bubble where we don't have, especially if you've got your own car and you're running things on apps where you're getting things delivered, like you don't have to interact with people. You don't have to be aware of the rest of society very much. Whereas, here you're not necessarily interacting. You're certainly not in that vibe of love and everything that you were talking about. But like you see the public and other people all the time. And there are things that you have to do to get along in society that require, if not like some level of empathy, at least some level of like awareness of other people, like just getting on and off trams. Like, you have to, if you're waiting to get on a tram, you stand to the side so that people can get off.
Right.
That's not necessarily like that kind of thing isn't something you always see in places that don't consider that.
Yeah, well, that is the benefit of living in a big city. Is you have to be hopefully you're aware of other people, and it's not always the case in America. I guess is really it's really what I'm thinking of specifically. Just in even with traffic, like here, I really got to hand it to I don't know if it's all of Canada or just New Brunswick, but like they're really conscientious of other drivers and like they'll move out of the way. If there's a car pulled over on the side of the road, they like change lanes to give them like a wide berth. Like when you're merging onto a highway, they change lanes for you, and none of that was going on in Austin. I'm like, dude, like I'm trying to get on this thing. I'm coming at 50 miles an hour. Like, please move over. You can move over. You know what I mean? But they just don't do it. And I don't know if it's just like a defiance, or they just don't see you, or they don't care, or what. I don't know. But it's different.
I think it's an entirely different culture. It's something like when I was getting my Czech driver's license here, there are things like that they explicitly teach and are law. Like, you cannot stay in the fast lane. You don't stay in the passing lane. If you're not passing somebody, you get into the slow lane, which is something that definitely doesn't happen in the US. And just kind of those, it's just a different like culture of things. And that's not to say that Europe is without its crazy a-hole drivers. There are plenty. But like writ large, like as driving, and I think here, like people are tend to work together on the roads. Whereas in the US, I think a lot of times we think of people on the roads as adversaries or obstacles or something like that. So it's just kind of a different mindset. And I'm not even speaking for like Americans. I'm thinking about how I felt when I was driving in America, because I was even a delivery driver for a while, and it was I loved driving until I became a delivery driver, and man, I was done with it.
It became work.
It became work, and it just like the infuriating way of dealing with people on the road was just too much for my delicate sensibilities.
But nowadays, like seeing so like in Texas, it's not only open carry, like gun wise. You can carry a gun. You can just buy a gun and put it in your sock. Like you don't need a license anymore to carry. You don't need it to be concealed. And like, I mean, you really got to. I mean, I haven't had road rage since I was like a teenager, because I'm like, or maybe early 20s, because you realize like how pissed off you get. But nowadays, like I think people, I don't know. I know my sister, because my sister used to get road rage a lot, and I feel like when I was there, she was a lot less aggressive of a driver. And I think she even mentioned like, no, people will shoot you now. They right away just like pull a gun and start waving it around. Whether they shoot or not is a whole other thing. But like the fact that they have a gun in their car and on their persons, like, it's a different world in the U.S. and specifically in open carry states, which are growing and growing.
Yeah, no, Jess we always have not a thing, but like some acknowledgement or talk about, this kind of thing when we're going back to the U.S. Because I'm the kind of guy who, even in the U.S., if I see somebody being mistreated, oftentimes I'll say something. So like one time, we were just at a Subway getting a sandwich or something, and this guy was just berating the Subway sandwich maker.
The sandwich artist.
The sandwich artist, for something that was not under his control. I don't even remember what it was, but he was just being ruthlessly mean. And I was like, hey, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you doing this to this guy? And he, tried to start a fight with me. And I was like, I don't want to fight. Like, you don't have to be an asshole. And, like, And where there's always some worry that, people in the US could shoot you for saying things like that. Yeah, so it's something that we always have a little conversation about, and some worries when we go back, because as scary as that is, I think it's really important to do things about that. I think part of how we've gotten to such a uncivil, terrible place is that people don't reinforce the social contract, and we let people continually get away with worse and worse behavior.
Yeah.
Because it's too uncomfortable to say something. But it's important.
I agree. Well, yeah, and you made me think. Like, I don't want to go too winding on the subject, but like people are just generally aggrieved. And like I remember it was night before last. Like I came across. I was at one of the hospitals here, and I came across another paramedic that I'd never met before. And we were like cleaning up our respective stretchers, and we got to wipe them down and put the bedding and stuff on it. And in the hospital, they just have like a system where you get bedding from whatever hospital you're at, and they collect the laundry from wherever. Anyway, and the supply was really low, and this guy whom I'd never met, first thing out of his mouth like was an aggressive complaint about how the stock is always low, and they have one job, it's an easy job, and I'm like, dude, I don't even know you. First thing out of your mouth is the bitch. And like,
right.
I don't know. I think I'm comparing it to that guy in Subway that was complaining to the employee there. So it's like, I don't know. Their first response is to just be a dick. And he wasn't being a dick to me, but he was just angry. You know what I mean? And I'm sure that person could be the customer in Subway where they're just pissed off and they're taking it out on whoever's there. And I think that's just what's prevalent right now. And I don't know when this happened that you were describing, but like it's been going on for a while and it's only getting worse.
It was probably a decade ago, and he was like fully yelling at this guy who was just trying to make him a sandwich.
Yeah. Oh man, I would have just thrown that thing right in the guy's face.
Right.
And then not work there anymore.
Yeah. No, it's rough. I think you're right. Yeah, people are just kind of, and certain strands of people are more aggrieved than others, and everybody's the bad guy.
They need a little love and affection in their lives.
Yeah. So I have a note to ask you something that I'm already losing the thread of because my memory, I need like a refresher. But I have here, what's the deal with the San Francisco guy? Because you said there was some story you were telling me, and you were like, oh, and the San Francisco guy, I could get into that another time.
Oh, there's only one person that I can think of. And maybe I told you already. It was a very aggressive sexual advance from a guy in San Francisco. Did I tell you about that?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, that's a good story. Buckle up. So I was coming back. So I used to, the gym I worked out at in San Francisco was in the Castro, which is like a famously gay district. And it was in my neighborhood. So it was like, that's the one I went to. And it was a lot of gay dudes in there, a lot of good looking, muscly gay dudes in there, and caught a lot of eyes, not because I'm Mr. Sexy, but like, I'm sure any woman will tell you in a gym that like men are staring at them, and that's what the men were doing to each other in this gym. It wasn't just a gay gym, but there was a lot of gay guys in there. Anyway, long story short, I was coming back from a gym sesh, and it was already dark, and I was walking home, and this dude crossed the street. I think I did tell you part of it. This dude was crossing the street as I was walking, and he was in a trajectory to like intercept me, and I never really got a good look at him because it was dark. But what I noted was that he was bigger than me. He wasn't like fat or super muscular or anything, but he was just a bigger person. Like he was proportionally large. He was probably about 6 foot. I'm 5'10"-ish. He was probably about 6 foot. Broad shoulders. He looked capable. He was in good shape. And I'm in like a muscle shirt and like gym shorts and like that's it. So anyway, so he intercepted and like started walking parallel to me just on the sidewalk. And he was keeping pace with me, and it was notable. You know how when you're walking next to somebody, and then you just sort of like realize you're walking at the same pace, and it's a little awkward. So maybe you slow down or you speed up or whatever, and you just kind of get that cadence so that you're not like matching your walk. And so I tried to do that because we were walking at the same pace, like shoulder to shoulder. I tried doing that, and he'd stop and like put his arm. He didn't say anything, but he put his arms. Was like, "What the fuck, man?" And then like I would start walking. And then he would do like this little like jump shuffle and like switch his pace to where we matched pace again. And so I remember I stopped again, and he did it again, and like did a little jump shuffle. I'm like, oh, this guy's like trying to talk to me or something.
Yeah.
And so again, never said a word. And as we were walking, he like started getting closer, and I was like, "Oh my God! Like this is happening right now! Like this man is like coming on to me." I'm like, he's within arm's reach. He's got longer arms than me. He's bigger than me. Like, and he's clearly wanting like some sexual attention. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it was intimidating. Like I wasn't like afraid. I'm like, all right, if I'm gonna have to scrap with this dude, it's gonna happen. But like, it was intimidating. And we just kept walking. And when he got closer and closer, I stopped again. And then he stopped and did the shuffle. And he kind of read my vibe and like gave me a little more space, but kept my space. And then he's like, "Where are you going to?" I was like, "I'm going home." And he was like, "Where do you live?" And I was like, "That way." And I just pointed ahead of us. And that was it. We just kept walking. And I don't remember how it ended, but he just like,
It ended with sex, yeah.
yeah, it ended with passion, But like, no, we reached an intersection, and then like, I guess he just gave up, and he just like waved and went one way, and I went the other. And I was like, that was a fucking scary moment for me. And really, I mean, he didn't do anything. He didn't harm me. He didn't threaten to harm me, but he was in my space, as we talked about before, you know, people getting in your space with an agenda, clearly. And it was intimidating, man. And like, I can see how, like, again, this is the second time in my life where a man's come on to me where it was like too much. And because it's one thing to be someone like being awkward and like complimenting you too much, or like commenting on your body or your hair or whatever. It's just gross. But like, this guy was like physically in my space. Yeah. And I can imagine that would be absolutely terrifying for someone that didn't feel like they could defend themselves against a bigger person like that. And there was a potential like I wouldn't be able to defend myself against this guy because he was bigger than me. So anyway, that's the deal with the San Francisco guy. I imagine, at least I think that's what I was describing before.
No, that makes sense. And it's very on point for, you know, our talks about, like, especially for men that may never have had experience like that.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think I said at one point, I mentioned riding an elevator with a young lady in our building. And I was like, I just want to make sure that, you know, I'm not intimidating or anything. Like, because that's a real thing. Like, that's a real concern. So like, getting to live that experience as a man is it's not something that I've had, but it's I think something that's good and informative to share.
And to illustrate that, you reminded me of another story, real brief here. When just before I moved to Prague, I moved from San Francisco back to Texas, and I was staying at my sister's house because she still owns the house, and she was just letting me stay there for the couple months that I was there. And I got off a city bus, and a woman got off the city bus with me. Now, we weren't together, but we were same stop. We walked down a pretty busy main street together. We crossed the same street together. We went down like a side street together. We turned another street together. We turned another street together. Oh. And I'm like kind of walking a little bit. She was a little ahead of me. And before we got to like my final street, I'm like, "Excuse me, I'm going to turn left here. I just want you to know I'm not following you. I'm turning left on the street." I had no idea where she was turning. That's why I just wanted her to know that. And then like I kind of diffused. I don't know if she was scared or not, but like she actually lived right next door to my sister. And we started chit-chatting, but like, yeah, man, I like the same thing with you with this woman in the elevator. I'm like, yeah, ma'am, I just want you. If it was a man, I wouldn't have said anything, but I was like, I just want you to let you know I'm not a predator and I'm not coming after you.
I'm not stalking you right
now.
Yeah,
you're perfectly safe right now. I'm going that direction. You can go whatever direction you want. I'm just letting you know ahead of time. Yeah, I'm going that way.
No, that was a good and thoughtful move. Like I'll sometimes, and you know, I've never had an experience where I'm following somebody for that long on accident. Yeah. But there have been times where I'll like just stop and like fiddle around in my backpack just to be like, I'm not behind you. Don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and again, I didn't want her to interpret that as like me, you know, getting another advantage or something like that, and just sort of giving myself a little more time to whatever.
Sure.
Anyway, well, so I was having trouble coming with a question, but that's actually a good question I want to ask you. Have you ever been intimidated by a man who, I don't mean necessarily like the dude at the subway who was being a dickhead, but like just someone who's maybe wanting to know you a little closer and you're not feeling it?
No, I haven't been. You know, I'm a pretty big guy, and I was a wrestler, and so I don't worry too much about stuff like that. And I've had guys come on to me and and I just kind of take it in stride, like, well, that's quite nice. Thank you very much. I'm not gay, but I've never had anything where it was intimidating or worrisome. I've had, like when I was younger, particularly, I was quite the handsome lad.
Yeah, you still are, Skip. You still are.
So like I'd be walking around, like if I was in San Francisco, because I was down in San Francisco for work occasionally when I was working at Victoria's Secret.
Mhm.
And like, guys would whistle at me and stuff like that. And it was just like, oh, that's nice. That's which, is since it doesn't happen all the time and I didn't feel like it was predatory, is like a privilege to just be like, all right, I'm looking good. Which if they were big guys that were intimidating and it was I wouldn't say that it was wanted attention, but I didn't care. It wasn't unwanted. Like it was like a nice affirmation. But yeah, I think that would get tiresome if it was constant.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And like, especially because you would get those people that encroached in your space and were intimidating or unwanted or went too far or whatever. So yeah, I get that. Yeah. But no, I've never really had that problem.
Yeah. Well, it's not a problem for me. It's happened twice and they were just, well, the San Francisco one wasn't really a unique situation because I was just walking on the street, but the other one I was in a car with the person. But so yeah, it hasn't been like an issue for me. It's just those are two instances where I was like, because I've had guys hit on me before as well.
Yeah.
And I just like you, I'm like, hey, I look good today. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me, but like, yeah, no, this was just two instances where I was like, whoa, this could be dangerous, and this could
spiral.
Yeah. So, well, okay, well, that's good. Okay, Skip, I'd like to know what's bringing you joy before we close this out.
Actually, this morning I got word from both the U.S. Embassy and the Czech local úřad that my son's passport with his new legal names were done from both countries. So that was really nice. Like, still battling the government in Nevada that just has kind of no clue how to deal with all the weird situation that we've got going on. But we were able to get his new passport with the new name, no problem. So
when you say your new name, did your older boy take your last name?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay. I didn't realize that.
We're all Potzes now.
Nice.
And so that was really nice. I was able to give him his Czech passport. The other one's getting delivered, and his Czech citizenship ID. Because as I've said before, he's like 6'4", and he's only 14. So when he tries to like people stop him on the metro for like a ticket, and he's like, I've got a kid's ticket. They're like, no, buddy. So now he's got proof of how old he is for things, because he's just a giant and people don't believe that he's 14. Yeah, so that was really nice to have those things done. Still working on some other legal changes in the US, but it's all done here, which is lovely. And that's cool. That's quite a joy. How about
that's
you?
Nice. So a couple of joys here. One is I forgot to say that when I went to the US and when I came back, so I got my Canadian passport as well, like just in the nick of time. Mm-hmm. So it was a joy skating into the US and then on an American passport and then skating into Canada on a Canadian, which you probably know all about going in and out of the Czech Republic. Yeah, it was really nice. Probably the first time I've ever traveled internationally without any kind of fear. Like I'm like, I'm not going to have any problems going into either country, and they're going to let me in. And it was really neat. It was a cool feeling. I forgot to bring them down here, but another joy is some of the stuff that I brought back from Texas, in addition to like old photographs of like family members, were arrowheads. I got a bunch of arrowheads that I brought back from Texas. Yeah. My mom had a collection that my great grandfather had collected on his little ranch, and then I had a bunch that I had collected on my stepfather's little bit of land there. Because it's just Texas is silly with them, and especially South Texas. When it's like fossils with a good rain. You just look at the ground for a little bit, and you'll see arrowheads. It's really neat. I just have that little. I enjoy the holding that bit of history, knowing that a human being, 800 years ago or whatever, like meticulously, because they're not they're not easy to make, and just napped these little bird points, and some of them are really delicate and they're still intact, and they, to fire one and to lose it, oh, that must suck, because you put so much energy into making them, and then you fire and miss, and then the arrow's just gone. You know what I mean? And then someone finds it hundreds of years later and celebrates it. So that was pretty neat. Another joy of mine, and I'm going to embarrass my sister and maybe light a fire under her. She is really just motivated to start a podcast with her friend now, and because she listens to ours, and I think she's seen how like the ease in our sort of relationship and yours and mine, and I think she's like, I can do that. And so she's got like the hardware for it now. Her and her buddy. So she's married with a teenage daughter, and her friend is single and gay, and they're both in their 40s. So and they have just a really, really good, fun rapport with each other. And I think it'll be great. I don't know. They're still kind of working out what they're going to even talk about, and they got a long ways to go. But like, she's really excited about it, and I'm excited to listen to it. And I'll report back later once they get up and running. And so that's a joy for me, that I feel like it's a positive step in a direction for both people.
And and you know what? It's partly your doing. Like, this is the ripple effect of doing this, and you do most of the work. So we
do the work, but no, it's also I think she saw our dynamic and was like, this is fun, it's entertaining, it's engaging, which we are, all those things. And I think she thought we can do this too. And they absolutely can. Hearing the two of them talk, it's like, yeah, they're really funny together, and they riff on each other, and they're mean to each other. They're not like you and I, but it's funny. It's like an adoring meanness, you know what I mean? So I look forward to hearing from them. But yeah, we definitely.
Do you want me to call you a dirty skank more? Is that what you're asking?
Well, you do it so often off mic that yes, a little more of that. Oh, so I got one more. This isn't exactly a joy, but I saw just this morning, going back to vegetarianism, some historical vegetarians, Leonardo da Vinci, Tolstoy, Tesla, Einstein, Rosa Parks, Cesar Chavez, and Adolf Hitler were all they were all vegetarians. Some of them later on in their lives, but Thomas Edison as well, later on in his life, they were all vegetarians. So I find it's interesting, and they all have different reasons. Tolstoy's I meant to cut and paste his quote because he wrote about it a lot, but his was a spirituality thing too. So I find that interesting.
Yeah, all over the map there. Because
yeah. I mean, there's thinkers, there's scientists, there's artists, there's activists, there's fascists.
And Edison's one of my least favorite scientists. I'd love to hear more about like what's going on there, because he electrocuted an elephant to death in front of kids, like
just
that.
just to tear down Tesla. Yeah, this is what Tesla's energy does for you. Yeah, but no, I think his was like a medical thing. Like he switched for his health, and then he enjoyed the effects of it enough to just like maintain it for the remaining years of his life. All right. Well, how do you feel? How are you feeling?
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to going off and working on my sciatica. Oh God.
Oh God, my sciatica's acting up again because of the roller skates.
It's so annoying because like I can work on it, getting it better for months, and it's getting better, and like I take care of it, and then like I'll spend half an hour in the park sitting on a bad bench, and like I'm fucked up for weeks. You know, like, so it's
one
just,
of those.
It's unfair.
Yeah. You should storm the Capitol.
I will.
You should get one of those I'm being semi facetious, but like one of those like hemorrhoid donuts. You know what I mean?
Hemorrhoid donuts, yeah.
Yeah, as you can like inflate, and just if you put it away in your pocket or your backpack or something.
Yeah, I'm not someone that's overly concerned with looking cool. But I think a hemorrhoid donut is going too far for me. I think it's just like I'll go out with my hair undone and in like a stained t-shirt on occasion, you know, but I don't know if I can go so far as to whip out my hemorrhoid pillow.
Yeah, I you know what? I made the suggestion. There is not a chance in the world that I would ever use one. Even if it was like my life depended on it, I'm like, I'm not going to sit on a hemorrhoid pillow. Everyone will know, and it's not happening.
Even if I turned into a living hemorrhoid,
there would be no pillow. There will be no pillow relief. Thanks for joining us. New podcasts every Monday. And if any part of this show has resonated with you, let us know at outsidethemanosphere@gmail.com, Instagram, or Facebook. Please like, rate, subscribe to the podcast, or recommend us to a friend. We hope you'll come back.
Ciao.